Analyse what it was that made parts of my career successful, other parts not, and what it is that makes businesses successful and some not. And I think it comes down to 5 key elements. You have to have a goal. We all know that. You've got to have goals in life. You have long-term goals, short-term goals, personal goals, business goals. You know, some of you know what your goals are. Some of you might be to be CEO, might be to be heads of department, might be to go off and set up your own businesses, be retired by the time you're 35. We've all got goals. Me, never wanted to make mine too difficult, only wanted to be #1 in the world. But having a goal is never enough. It's no good saying I want to be retired or set up my own business or be CEO or be #1 in the world. You have to understand the reasoning behind it. The reason I wanted to try and get to that spot of being #1 wasn't so that I could just stand on the stage one day and say, guess what, I was once #1. It's because when I first got back into athletics, I saw the accolade that those athletes held. I don't know if you remember, but in the 2 races you saw, I come across an athlete by the name of Kona Omar, came from the Ivory Coast, formidable athlete, broke the world record for men's 800 when he was 18 years old. Whenever you used to stand alongside him on the start line, all the other athletes would look at each other and go, well, who gets silver today then? I wanted to be that athlete. I wanted to be the athlete that my rivals both feared and respected in equal measure. So I knew what I wanted to do, but most importantly, I knew why I wanted to do it. Now, we don't just say see when we get there, we have to plan the journey. Now, it's quite easy in sport. We always know when the next major championships are coming, and we generally work in a 4-year cycle. My coach sat me down and he said, okay, Dan, that didn't quite go according to plan. He said, but so we move on. 4 years' time, what's your plan? I said, Ayo, my coach's name is Ayo Falola. I said, gold medal, probably over the 800 metres. We already knew I was going to start to look to move up. And he said, all right, what kind of time do you think you'd have to be able to run? And I said, probably about 1 minute 53 seconds, around about that. He said, okay, how can we make that happen? And he said, okay, if you're going to run 1 minute 53 in 2004, we're going to do it in 2003. I said, probably 1 minute 55. He said, okay, how can we make that happen? And we planned 2003, and we took it all the way back to current day. Now, it didn't mean we stuck to that plan, but if you haven't got something written down, you haven't got a plan in the first place, you have nothing to deviate off of. So we now knew what I wanted to do, why I wanted to do it, and how I was going to get there. Now, the thing to understand is nobody, no person or business can be successful on their own. We all need the right people around us. In sport, we have so many influences. Nowadays, never more apparent than what we have now. We have strength coaches, conditioning coaches, fitness coaches, speed coaches. We have event managers, team managers, competition managers. We have physios, doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists. You name it, we have it. If we haven't got one, they'll get one in. We have all these massive influences. But then we have to have one key person, our coach, our boss, our line manager, call them what you will. This is the person that takes all those influences and turns them into one manageable program. Now, the thing about this person is you have to trust them implicitly, because in my coach's hands, he held my entire career. He told me when I wasn't training, when I wasn't, what sessions I was doing, even some of the race plans that I would use. You see, what you saw in Athens was the perfect race for me. Go to the front, let somebody come on my shoulder, slow it down and wait for the kick finish. I knew I was the fastest sprinter in the field. So if I could slow the race down sufficiently, nobody would out-sprint me. But we couldn't guarantee that would happen. So I used to have to go to races, my coach would make me stay at the back or in the middle where you get tripped, pushed and shoved till certain points of the race, just so that we knew that I could win from any position in that race. But on the flip side, he had to trust me as well. He had to know that when I turned up for training, I was in the best physical and mental shape. He had to know that when he set training plans, race plans, I would stick to them. So that was my professional network. But we also need our support network as well. The people around us that are there just to put their arm on your shoulder or give you that kick up the backside. Because we all know that when life's easy, it's easy. But we also all know that life is not always easy. So sometimes you need those people around you. The people that when it does get tough and you start to doubt, they're the people that say, why have you stopped doubting? You believed once, why have you stopped believing now? So I had my support network around me. So I now knew what I wanted to do, why I wanted to do it, how I was going to get it, who's going to help me. Now the really important part, we have to constantly evaluate what we're doing. Now once again, it's easy in sport. Every single time I trained on a stopwatch. I trained 2 to 3 times a day, 6 days a week, 12 to 14 sessions a week, 11 months of the year, solid. Every single time I trained, I tried to do it better than I did it the time before. We was always trying to find a 100th of a second somewhere, a little 1%. You see, when I sat down with my coach in 2000 and we talked about the 4-year plan, I had to find 4 seconds of time. Now 4 seconds isn't a lot to you, but to a middle distance runner over 800 metres, it's a lifetime. It's actually impossible. You can't get 4 seconds quicker. So if you're going to think like that, you might as well not start. We don't think like that. My coach said, it's not 4 seconds, Dan, it's 1 second a year. That doesn't sound too bad to you, does it? 1 second. But even 1 second to an athlete is a lifetime. So we go better than that. Half a second every 6 months. Starts to sound more manageable, doesn't it? My coach sat me down and he said, Dan, if you can get 1/4 of a second faster every 3 months, you can be a champion. How simple is that? Tiny, tiny little percentage gains every day in training, and I could be a champion. Now you imagine, if everybody in this room went back to work tomorrow or the day after and done their bit of the job 1% better, then everybody in your team or your office does their bit of the job 1% better. Then everybody in an organisation does their job 1% better. It doesn't take a genius to work it out, does it? How these tiny little percentage gains make such a huge, huge difference. So that's how we did it. We just chipped away at it. But of course, those are the 5 key elements to success. But you can't do that if you don't have the 6th one, the hidden one, the drive, the passion, the desire to keep going. Because once again, it's easy to do things when life's going well. But if life's not going well, it's a struggle. How do you get through that? It's simple. You don't just remind yourself of what the goal was, but you remind yourself of the important bit, why you was trying to achieve your goal. That's what gets you through the tougher times.